Today I'm going to talk about the W-4 for 2019, the paper version. I'm finally going to do the paper version before I do the online version. And stay to the end because if you're doing the paper version, you're definitely missing out on reducing your overall tax liability and really controlling your taxes. If this is your first time at our channel or you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button at the bottom. My name is Travis Sickle, Certified Financial Planner with Sickle Hunter Financial Advisors. After all this time, I finally figured out how to get this to work on my iPad. So we're going to go through it today and let's begin. So this is the W-4 for 2019. Now, if you don't have it, I'm going to show you where the link is right here and you can just go to it. It's irs.gov/form W-4. And if you go there, you can get yourself a copy of the W-4 and follow along. Now, the directions here at the top give you a brief overview of how to fill out the W-4, but I do want to point out, now at the very top of the first page are the directions on how to start and fill out the W-4, but I do want to point out that they make a reference to the online version, the online calculator, numerous times, and there you have it, the W-4 app. It's right there, it's right here, and it is also right here as well, probably somewhere else as well. Probably in a few other places, if I can find it, maybe not. But the W-4, the app is right there. I highly recommend to do the app because it makes it so much simpler and why would you do it any other way? But anyways, let's go ahead and continue. So the section down here is the only portion that you're gonna give to your employer. In fact, the IRS doesn't even get this page, only your employer does. And they're just gonna take this information to make sure that they give it to payroll, who is then going to process it and give you the correct withholdings. It's all of your basic information, but we will come back and fill out sections 5, 6, and 7. Those are really the three main parts that we're going to fill out. Everything else here is just your basic information. So let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit further. Now, this is the page that you want to start with. This is the personal allowances worksheet. So with the personal allowances worksheet, let's go ahead and get started. On line A, enter 1 for yourself. So we're going to start here, line A. Enter 1 for yourself. Go ahead and put a 1. Put a 1 right there. Then we're going to go ahead and look at line B. Enter 1 if you will file as married filing jointly. In this scenario that we're going to run today, I am going to do it as married filing jointly. So let's put a 1 there. If you're not married filing jointly, put 0 or leave it blank. It doesn't matter. This sheet is only for your reference. That's the only reason that you're going to have this. You're not going to turn this in. Line C, enter 1 if you will file as head of household. We will not, so we're just going to go ahead and put a line, put a 0, put whatever you want. On line D, enter 1 if any of these 3 apply. So the first bullet is you are single. We are not. Or married filing separately. We're not that either. And have only 1 job. Well, in our scenario, we'll have only 1 job, so I'll underline it just for reference, and we'll put a 1. Now, if you had multiple jobs, you would put 0. The second line there is you're married filing jointly, have only 1 job, and your spouse doesn't work. Now let's take a look at line D. Enter 1 if you're single or married filing separately and have only 1 job. None of those apply to us, so we're going to go to the second one. Or you're married filing jointly, have only 1 job, and your spouse doesn't work. So for our example, that's one we'll check off because we are married filing jointly, we'll have only 1 job and our spouse doesn't work. So we're going to put a 1 there. And the third, if neither of those applied and you look at the third bullet, your wages from a second job or your spouse's wages or the total of both are $1,500 or less, then you would, again, put a 1 there. But we're not, so we're just going to move on. For this example, we're not going to have any children, so child tax credit, we're going to skip that. But if you do have children and you do want to fill this out, and your total income, just read the bullets. If your total income will be less than $71,201, enter 4 for each eligible child. Now, since we're married filing jointly, and if it's $103,351 right there, if married filing jointly, if it's that number or less, enter 4 for each eligible child. So if you have 3 children, go ahead and enter 12, 2, 8, and if you have 1 child, enter 4. And for this example, we're going to enter 0 because we're not going to have any children in this example. So child tax credit, that's what you would do there. Now, as you can see in that second bullet, the amount that you could take for the child tax credit decreases the more money you earn. So if you earn over the $71,201, but less than $179,050, or this threshold right here, if you're married filing jointly, which is $103,000 to $351 to $345,850, then you're only going to enter in 2 for each eligible child. So it's 2, 4, 6, so on and so forth. And if it's your income's even higher than that, if it's $179,51 to $200,000, or if you're married filing jointly, $345,851 to $400,000. So $400,000 is the child tax credit phase out, the complete phase out at $400,000. Enter 1 for each eligible child. If you make over $400,000 as a household, married filing jointly, then you do not qualify for the child tax credit and you would enter in 0, as you can see in the next bullet. If your total income will be higher than $200,000 or $400,000 if married filing jointly, enter 0. So we're just going to enter 0 because, again, for this example, no kids. Now for line F, credit for other dependents. Now, if you do have other dependents, go ahead and enter in line F for credits for other dependents. If not, go ahead and cross it off, put 0, move on. Now we're going to take a look at line G. Other credits. Now, this is a big one. If you do have other credits, you're going to want to take a look at this. I'm not going to go into in this particular video, but let me pull up some of the credits that you can consider if you're looking for items for line G. So here's the 2018 version for the worksheet 1-6, and I'm going to see if I can zoom in here. And if you're taking a look, you can see the child tax credit, child for other dependents, credits for the elderly or disabled, credits for children and dependent care expenses, education credits, adoption credits, foreign tax credits, retirement savings contribution credits. That's the saver's credit. And 9, we have earned income credit or a premium tax credit for healthcare. So you have all these different credits that can make adjustments to your overall income and change the outcome of your W-4. So you want to take a closer look at the other credits, but for this example, I'm not going to go through those other credits. And if we jump down, so I'm going to put a line there. If we jump down to line H, this is where we're going to put our answer. So we're going to add this up, and we have 3. So we have 1 here, 2 here, 3 there. There you go, line 3, H. Now this next section is deductions, adjustments, and additional income worksheet. Now, the big thing that changed here was the standard deduction increased to $24,000 for 2018, and now you can see that it's $24,400 for 2019. That's married filing jointly, and you can see what it is for singles and head of household. So these standard deductions increased significantly in the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, so much that I think the number is like 19 million less people are going to have to file or itemize their deductions. So it's really simplifying the whole process. Now, if you're still one of those people who are going to itemize, then you want to fill out this section. Otherwise, skip it and go on if you're not going to itemize. So if you don't have over $24,400 in itemized deductions, then you're just going to take the standard deduction. So now that we have our answer on line H, we can go back up here and we can fill this section out. So we're going to go ahead and put our name. So I'll put Travis Sickle, your social security number 000-00-0000. And your home address 123 this street, Tampa, Florida, 33602. Now, for section 3, you want to check off that you're married filing jointly. Of course, if you're singles, check that off. And in line 5, that's where you want to put our answer. So we are going to head and put number 3. 3 is the amount of allowances. That's line 5. 6 is any additional amounts you want withheld from your paycheck. For this example, we are not going to withhold anything additionally because we're putting in a number 3 there for the allowances. Now remember, with allowances, when you're talking about allowances, the higher the allowances, the bigger your paycheck because we're withholding less. So we're putting less aside for taxes. Now, this doesn't actually change your tax liability at the end of the year. If you're paying it now or at the end of the year, that number is going to be exactly the same. And for line 7, since we will have to withhold, we're just going to go ahead and put a line there because we are not exempt. So go ahead and sign it, put the date, and then put in 8, 9, and 10. These boxes down here, 8, 9, and 10. Either you or your employer can fill those out. Just give it to your employer. They're probably going to put the home office address, the date you started employment, and their EIN. The employer's EIN is basically the same as your Social Security. It's just for the business. So they will have that if you do not. So don't worry about it. That's all you need to do. Just cut it right here, rip it off. You can make a copy for your records, but give this to your employer and they'll be able to make the adjustment in order to make sure that you're withholding the correct amount. Now, I did the paper version and I didn't go into the 2 jobs worksheet because we only had 1 job in this example, which I can do for another video. But the thing that you want to understand is going through this, it only goes over the amount of allowances. It doesn't give you any idea of what your tax liability is actually going to be or the size of your paycheck that you're going to get, which you can estimate from the online version. So let me go over the 2019 version really quickly of the online version, and you're going to see that it's going to be the same, but it's going to give us a little bit more information. So married filing jointly, no dependents, click continue, and I'm just going to zoom through this so you can see. We're going to put $130,000 for the income, no bonuses, and I'm going to put $1,476 for the withholdings year to date. You can get that from your pay stub. So if it's done correctly, that's what it'll be. Otherwise, put whatever the withholdings are and it will give you an accurate answer. Click continue. We're taking the standard deduction. Now you can see right here, there's your 3 allowances, same amount as before, but here's the extra information. We know that our total tax liability is going to be $14,949, or that's the estimate based on the information that we put into the calculator. So if we did have other credits or other deductions like 401ks, IRAs, or all those other credits I talked about before, that's going to adjust the amount that's needed for the withholdings. And this is a much quicker way to do it. So if you just do the paper version, you're only going to get the answer. You're not going to get the actual tax liability. And that is a huge benefit because if you can figure out how much your taxes are going to be and what your paycheck is going to be, then at that point, you can take some of that money and you can pay off debt or you can save it. There's other things that you can do with that extra dollars that you're getting in your paycheck rather than getting a huge refund at the end of the year. So if you're making these adjustments, the online calculator is the best way to do it. And that's exactly what the IRS says. So anywhere that you're reading online, they're adding to it all the time. They want you to do the online calculator because it's way easier to do. And especially as your situation gets more complicated, then the calculator becomes even more valuable and more powerful. If you want to see other versions, let me know in the comments down at the bottom. And if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and leave your comments down at the bottom.